The movie opens with a narration describing a world where humans have evolved into beings incapable of lying. In this society, everyone, from beggars to businessmen, even the president, always speaks the truth. The narrator introduces Mark Bellison, an unlucky man who is about to change the world by telling the first lie in human history. Mark is first seen arriving for a date with a beautiful woman named Anna. She bluntly tells him that he interrupted her while she was busy and needs time to get ready. During their conversation, Mark openly admits that he's financially struggling, might lose his job soon, and doesn't own any assets despite being in his 40s. Anna, in return, says she doesn't find him attractive. Though embarrassed, Mark accepts it calmly, as he's used to such honesty. At the restaurant, the waiter adds to Mark's discomfort by saying Anna is out of his league, and even mistakes her for his daughter. Anna, equally blunt, tells Mark that she has a well-paying job and is doing great in life. When her mother calls, Anna tells her that Mark is unattractive and broke, and that she has no plans of being intimate with him. Despite the awkward evening, Mark thanks Anna for spending time with him. The next day, the story shifts to Lecture Film Studio, where Mark works as a screenwriter. A colleague is presenting a story about Napoleon when Mark enters. He's introduced to the team as one of the company's least successful employees who is about to be fired. Trying to remain composed, Mark walks into the office, only for his co-worker Shelley to mock him for being uncreative. Moments later, his boss, Anthony, fires him for his latest uninspired script about the Black Plague. Adding to his humiliation, Mark reads a message from Anna where she explains that although she likes him as a person, she could never consider him for marriage because of his looks, financial struggles, and low status, all of which, in their world, are seen as genetic flaws. Shelley makes matters worse by sarcastically saying the best part of the message is about his bad appearance. As Mark leaves the office, his colleague Brad taunts him, calling him a failure who will never achieve anything. Dejected, Mark visits his mother, Martha Bellison, at a nursing home, ironically named a sad place for hopeless old people. He tells her about losing his job and admits that failure seems to run in their family. Later that night, his landlord shows up demanding rent. When Mark explains his situation, the landlord gives him just one day to vacate the place. With no choice, Mark goes to the bank to withdraw the little money left in his account. The system is temporarily down, so the cashier asks him how much money he has. On impulse, Mark claims he has $800, even though his real balance is only $300. Moments later, the system comes back online, revealing the truth. But to Mark's surprise, the cashier believes the system must be faulty and hands him $800 without hesitation. For the first time, someone believes something untrue, and Mark realizes he has just told the world's first lie. Overjoyed, he pays his rent and returns home in disbelief over what he has discovered. Excited, he tells his friends about being able to say something false, but they don't understand what he means. The idea of lying simply doesn't exist in their minds. To test his newfound ability, Mark keeps changing his name mid-conversation, and his friends accept every version as fact. Curious about the possibilities, Mark asks his friends what they would do if they could do absolutely anything. Greg jokes that he'd sleep with a woman. Inspired by the thought, Mark decides to test his power again. He approaches a woman on the street who ignores him until he calmly says that the world will end unless she sleeps with him immediately. The woman, panicked and believing every word, drags Mark into a motel room. When they arrive, Mark asks the girl to introduce herself, but she suddenly panics and shouts that they must do it immediately to save the world. Feeling uncomfortable, Mark pretends to make a phone call to NASA. He then calmly says that NASA just confirmed the world is safe and there's no need for them to sleep together. Afterward, he returns to his friends and asks them, apart from being with a girl, what they would do if they could do absolutely anything in the world. They struggle to think of an answer and throw the question back at him. Without hesitation, Mark replies that he would take all the money in the world. Later that day, Mark and Greg go out for a drive, even though Greg is completely drunk. A police officer stops their car and starts accusing Greg of drunk driving. But when Mark confidently says that his friend isn't drunk, the officer believes him instantly, apologizes, and lets them go. Afterward, the two head to a casino where Mark insists on trying his luck at roulette. He bets on number 28, but the wheel lands on 35. Thinking quickly, Mark points behind the crowd and yells for everyone to look at something unusual. While everyone turns their heads, he quietly moves his chip to 35 and claims the win. The dealer doesn't question him and hands over his prize. Mark keeps using the same trick several times, winning again and again, and eventually leaves the casino with his pockets full of cash. Later, in an elevator, he runs into his friend Frank, who looks completely devastated. Frank admits he plans to end his life. Mark thinks for a moment and tells him softly that he doesn't need to do that. Frank immediately believes him, and the two decide to spend time together that evening. Mark starts realizing that his strange new ability can actually make people's lives better. One night, Mark calls Anna and asks her for another date. He tells her that he's changed and wants her to see it for herself. Anna agrees to meet him one last time. After the call, Mark turns on the TV and watches a lecture films program where the host praises Brad's writing. Inspired, Mark suddenly gets an idea and starts working on a story using his new talent for lying. After finishing the script, he spills tea on the pages to make it look old and historical. The next day, he visits the lecture film studio and tells his boss, Anthony, that he found an ancient manuscript buried in a desert chest. The story talks about a giant spaceship crash in Babylon, which instantly captures Anthony's attention. He calls everyone over to listen as Mark begins reading aloud. Mark narrates that the Earth was saved by aliens in the 14th century. He adds that their leader erased everyone's memories to hide the truth. Then he reads that, after 700 years, a great writer named Mark Bellison would rise after being unfairly fired by his boss, Anthony, and mocked by his co-workers, Shelby and Brad. The script ends by declaring that lecture films will create a legendary movie, making Mark rich and famous. The entire room bursts into applause, believing every word, while Brad glares in disbelief. Impressed, Anthony orders Mark to begin working on the film immediately. The next evening, Mark takes Anna to an upscale restaurant for their date. She congratulates him on his newfound success and asks about his family. Mark tells her that his father is an alcoholic and that his mother lives in a nursing home. He adds that he plans to move her out soon and buy her a beautiful house. Eventually, Mark gathers the courage to ask Anna if she'd like to spend her life with him now that he's successful and well off. Though Anna admits she likes him, she still refuses, saying she doesn't want her future children to inherit his looks. Disappointed, Mark quietly sips his drink, but before he can respond, his phone rings. It's the hospital. His mother's condition has worsened. He rushes there immediately. At the hospital, his mother, Martha, lies weakly in bed and confesses she's terrified of dying because she believes it's just endless darkness. Seeing her fear, Mark gently lies, telling her that after death, she'll go to a peaceful place filled with her loved ones. Young and happy again, comforted by his words, Martha smiles for the first time and peacefully passes away. The doctors and nurses, who overheard everything, are moved by his words and ask him to explain more about what happens after death. But still grieving, Mark quietly leaves with Anna. The next morning, the two wake up on the couch, realizing they spent the whole night asleep on each other's shoulders. Later, Mark drives home and finds a massive crowd gathered outside his house. Confused, he pushes through the people as a woman suddenly screams his name. The crowd quickly surrounds Mark, bombarding him with questions about what happens after death. Somehow he manages to slip inside his house and turns on the TV, only to see a live news report covering the chaotic scene outside. Soon after, Anna rushes over, demanding to know what he told his mother. Mark explains everything, and to his surprise, Anna believes him without hesitation. She insists that he must share his message with everyone. Conflicted but determined, Mark grabs a pen and paper and begins to write. Once he's done, he steps outside to face the massive crowd waiting for answers. With calm authority, he reads his words aloud, declaring that there is a man in the sky who knows everything. He explains that this man rewards good people with beautiful mansions, endless ice cream, and reunion with their loved ones after death. However, those who commit bad deeds 3 times in their lives will be sent to a place filled with misery. When the people start blaming the man in the sky for all the suffering in their lives, Mark cleverly reminds them that he's also the reason for all the good things they've experienced. A woman steps forward, asking how Mark came to know this truth. Mark simply says that the man in the sky revealed it to him, and then he quietly walks back inside as the crowd erupts in confusion and awe. The next morning, every newspaper headline screams his story. NASA's searching for the man in the sky. Work productivity falls as people dream of mansions in heaven, and man in the sky responsible for miracles and disasters alike. Mark's words have shaken the world back at work. Mark submits his old script about the Black Plague to his boss. The film becomes a massive success, turning Mark into a rich and famous celebrity. One afternoon, he sits in the park with Anna and tells her that she's the kindest person he's ever met. Anna smiles and says she enjoys being around him too. They lean in close, almost sharing a kiss. But Anna hesitates, imagining chubby children with snub noses. She confesses that although she loves him, she can't ignore her obsession with perfect genetics. Later, Anna visits Mark's luxurious mansion to give him a birthday card. She tells him she's going on a date with Brad and even mentions that she plans to sleep with him. Alarmed, Mark gently persuades her not to do anything before marriage. When he opens the birthday card, he finds a coupon inside that jokingly invites him to spend the night with her. Blushing, Anna quickly says it's against the rules since they're not married, while Mark awkwardly jokes that it's a shame to waste such a gift. Just then, Brad arrives to pick her up for dinner. During their date, Brad arrogantly talks about his success while taking constant jabs at Mark's appearance. Later that night, when Anna watches one of Mark's TV interviews, her mother snatches the remote and changes the channel, insisting that Mark will never be more than a friend. Anna defends him, saying that he makes her feel special, but her mother snaps back that Mark is and always will be a loser, and so will his children. She even calls Brad and pressures Anna to focus on him instead. Weeks pass. One day, Anna suddenly appears at Mark's house and finds him unkempt, with long hair and a thick beard. She hands him a wedding invitation and gently asks him to attend. Mark pleads with her not to marry Brad, but Anna explains that time is running out for her to find the perfect genetic partner and have the children she's always dreamed of. When the wedding day arrives, Mark wakes up to find Greg dressed in a suit, offering him a razor. Mark shaves, puts on formal clothes, and heads to the ceremony. The priest asks if anyone believes they can offer Anna a better genetic match. As silence fills the hall, Mark stands up and bravely declares that Anna would be happier with him. Brad sneers and challenges Mark, asking why Anna is marrying someone else if that's true. He mocks him, telling him to ask the man in the sky what's best for her. Mark looks straight at Anna and says softly that she already knows what's best for herself. As he begins to leave, Anna stops him, urging him to ask the man in the sky for guidance. Mark finally turns to her and confesses the truth. There is no man in the sky. He admits he made it all up to comfort his mother during her final moments. Anna, stunned, asks why he didn't lie to win her heart. Mark replies that love built on a lie would never mean anything. Realizing the depth of his honesty, Anna smiles through tears and says she wants those little fat kids with snub noses. After all, Mark's face lights up as he realizes she's finally chosen him. In the final scene, Mark and Anna sit together at breakfast, smiling as their chubby young son eats beside them, while Anna, now pregnant with their second child, looks lovingly across the table. Like and subscribe for more recaps like this.